Hi, guys, and welcome back to yet another episode of The Simplicity of God, where we take you through your own personal walk with God, regardless of your religion. On this channel, I always say that we are not concentrating on which religion you practice, like whether you're a Hindu, Jehovah Witness, Mormon, Christian, or a Muslim. We are mainly focusing on your own personal walk with God because remember, with what's going on in the world right now, you got to have your own personal walk with God. You got to have a relationship personally away from everybody, just with God. Okay? So today episode is gonna be a follow-up on the last episode, which was obviously Jesus' righteousness or self-righteousness. Are you going to count on your own things that you did? Are you going to count on your doings, apparently your giving, your fasting, whatever that is? Or are you going to count only on Jesus? So today we are going to talk about how you are lifted above principalities and powers because of Jesus, not because of yourself. So without wasting any time, welcome back obviously, and my name is Jehovah. And before we get any further, I have to say that I was actually helped by a little niece of mine, Audrey. You won't believe it. I have been having these videos that has like, I don't know, like little, I don't know, it's almost like it wasn't clear. And today she just like, because I have a light that I usually use, but I have not been using it. And she said, Andy, can I help you, organize your table and so on? And she did. And then she put the light on and look at what we have. The picture is so excellent. Anyway, before you get ahead of yourself, please subscribe, like, comment, and push that notification button so that every time we upload a new video about this amazing walk with God, you can get notified. So let's get started. I was told by Pastor you have to know the scripture, and then the Holy Spirit say that you just have to know what to say. You don't have. So welcome back, Jehovah again. So today we're gonna talk about, because last week, as I said, we talked about self-righteousness or Jesus' righteousness. So self-righteousness is when you think that the reason you are righteous or the reason you have right standing with God is because you did things, or you did things that you think are deserving of you being righteous, meaning that you think that you pray a lot, you maybe give to the poor and all those things that people can think that that's what makes them righteous. That's self-righteousness. But Jesus' righteousness is you can do those things, but in your mind, you are not thinking that it's because you do those things, that's why Jesus do things for you, or that's why you are even safe. Remember, last week we used Ephesians 2, I think, verse 8 to 10. So the first two verses actually talk about we are saved by grace and grace alone, so that you don't have to boast, because this is just a free gift from God. You are not saved by your own power, right? But then the 10th verse say that because of this we are called so that we can do the good works. Now, as I usually say, that most people have taken these two verses out of proportion, and they have to come the way, that's where when Jesus was saying, like, the way it was written for the purpose of you knowing that you go into the knowledge of the grace of God, and then you do the good work. Let me tell you something that I think I said in one of my preaching about salvation and your assurance of your salvation. I said that you can be saved today by grace, and you can as well go and sit in the sitting room of your house without doing anything. If you die, you're still gonna go to heaven. Yeah, I'm telling you, that's a naked truth. The naked truth is that you are saved by grace. You don't have to absolutely do anything to actually earn your way to heaven. All you need to do is to believe in Jesus, and that's it. However, I always say that regardless of being saved by grace, where if somebody saves you, for example, let me use just a simple example. So you were just about to drown and somebody saves you from drowning, right? And maybe they have some things that they didn't ask you to do, but in the process, it's actually things that you can do. Why would you not do them, right? So really what the Bible is trying to say is that although you are saved by grace, good works help save other people. So why would you not do them, right? But I think the emphasis is that the reason I put the emphasis on you can be saved and sit in the comfort of your sitting room without doing anything completely is because when you emphasize that somebody has to do something, it makes it feel like they have to earn that salvation, which is not the case, okay? For example, just look at, like, let me use an example of the parents, okay? So, you know, you have your parents and then you go out somewhere and then you come back late, and then don't you feel comfortable if you know that you can go to your parents' house and you can come and actually feel comfortable in going to any of, you know, like go and, you know, eat food as you want because it's your parents' house and so on. You are not earning it, you know, because you are a child to that, you are a child in that household. So because of that, by default, you can eat food, and it's you don't have to do anything. You are not eating food because you have to do something, like because you have to earn it or whatever. But why would you not have help your parents with maybe washing the dishes and so on, even though maybe your parents doesn't obligate you to do it, you know? So that's how it is. When you are saved by grace, you don't have to earn it. Like you are not earning any of you are not earning your way to heaven, okay? But the thing is, when you look at preaching the gospel, preaching the gospel itself, it takes money to actually preach the gospel. It takes money to, when I say preaching the gospel, I'm not talking about like the way I'm preaching to you now. I'm talking about, for example, I can use a very wonderful pastor of mine, Pastor Peter Youngren, who goes to the most, should I say the most, like where countries, he goes to countries where 99% of people are Muslim to preach the gospel, okay? So when it comes to that, he's flying and all that. So, and even when you look at the gathering of the of this many you know, crusade, it needs money to actually put all that together. So it takes money to actually preach to people so that by grace and not by works they can be saved. But eventually that's where verse 10 is coming into. So I hope you understand that part, because now we're gonna move a step further and we're gonna talk about so I'm gonna use Pastor Nathan example. Today is Sunday, November 17th, and I'm talking to you right now kind of immediately after I came from church. And I'm gonna place a video of Pastor Nathan, how he was preaching about not having to earn the love of God, and you know, just knowing that God has done it for you and you don't have to you know, like this thing of trying to earn it, you know, and all these things that we hear in church, being preached in church and so on. So I'm gonna put that video right away now. Yeah.
Now, in the Old Testament, the obedience that was being spoken of was an adherence to the law, the Ten Commandments. And while they are honorable and they are good to live by, the New Testament obedience is an obedience of faith. The Scripture talks about the obedience of faith, because in the New Testament we are saved, or blessed in this case, what we're talking about, but we're saved by grace, through faith, not of works, lest any man should boast. And so today, this obedience of faith speaks of believing on Jesus. And out of belief comes fruit, and that we've glorified the Father by bearing much fruit. And so we want fruit in our lives. But the New Testament message of the gospel is this, that we are positioned, say positioned, we are positioned by grace through Jesus Christ for all blessing. We are positioned by grace, that's free unmerited favor, through Christ for all blessing. What's our part today? Our part is to believe it. To believe it. And out of believing, blessings follow, fruitfulness follow, righteous lifestyle follows.
So I think I don't have to explain anything. That's very self-explanatory. But this topic is the topic that we had last week. So now we're gonna move to a topic that I feel is like very important for those people who don't know their rights. Because I think some people, no matter how long they have been with the Lord, they just don't seem to get or don't seem to grasp the fact that you are above principalities. Okay, so I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna read from Ephesians 6. And I'm going to put it from verse 10. We're going to read from verse 10. This is kind of my favorite kind of chapter in that, well, not chapter, like my favorite piece of verses. But these verses, when they came to me, they were put completely in a legalistic way, if I have to say that. Like, almost like you have to do this, you have to do this, you have to do this, you have to do this. Anyway, so let me read Ephesians 6 verse 10. Finally, be strong in the Lord and in his mighty power. Put on the full armor of God so that you can take your stand against the devil's schemes. I need you to follow that. Can you see what the Bible is saying about the devil way of doing? Schemes. If I have to explain schemes before I even go on, schemes is when somebody comes not directly. They are not luring you into something directly. They are coming with styles, sneaky. They are coming like this. Just the way he went to Eve and say, did God say? Can you see? Did God say? So the devil works with schemes, very carefully planned schemes. That's why one of my favorite authors, Watchman Nee. Watchman Nee, and I was explaining about what he said. I got lost in between there. He said that a Christian should never be able to reach a place where he thinks he's perfect, because in his highest thinking of perfectionist, that's when the highest kind of temptation will come for that person to fall. Because, and he used an example of Peter. He said that Peter has just a moment ago declared that Jesus is the Messiah. And Jesus said that only the Spirit could have revealed that. Because the declaration of Jesus being the Messiah came from Jesus asking, who do you think people say I am? And then they answered, the prophet, Elijah the prophet, and blah, blah, blah. And then he said, but who do you think I am? We're talking about who do you think I am? Who do you think I am? So he was directing that to the disciples. And Peter said that you are the Son of God, the Messiah. But immediately after that, Peter was the one rebuking Jesus when he said he was going to die. The Messiah, because Peter was actually expecting a different kind of Messiah. A Messiah that's going to take control of the Roman Empire and all that. Anyway, so we are talking about schemes. Let's go back. Let's not get it away. And then number 12 says that for our struggle is not against flesh and blood. But against the rulers, against the authorities, against the powers of this dark world, against the spiritual forces of evil in the heavenly realm. Therefore, put on the full armor of God so that when the day of evil comes, you may be able to stand your ground. And after you have done everything, to stand. And then it says this, stand firm then, with a belt of truth buckled around your waist, with a breastplate of righteousness in place. I'm not going to read all this, but what I'm trying to say here, the main thing that I want you to focus on is that Paul say stand. Standing is actually authority. When you stand your ground, stand your ground. Stand your ground is authority. When you are not moving, because you know who you believe. You know, I can use a very good example of a movie that I watched some years ago. That movie impressed me because I was very, very afraid on behalf of the boy. So I know it's a Jean-Claude Van Damme movie where this movie is Jean-Claude Van Damme. I can't quite remember it very well, but all I know is this. Jean-Claude Van Damme left his son somewhere. He went out. He said, wait for me here. Don't move. And then he went out, and by the time he was supposed to come back, things happened and everybody was going out. My God, that child stood his ground. He was not leaving because his dad said stand. No matter how chaotic everything was, because it was chaotic. I'm going to put a video here if I can find it. Hopefully I will. It's so, like, it was very impressive. So Jean-Claude Van Damme came back, and the child actually said that, Daddy, I waited. I didn't move. I think I remember correctly. This was probably 20 years ago. That's what standing means. You stand your ground. When you stand your ground, the devil knows when you are standing your ground, when you know who you are. And that's why I always preach about knowing who you are. Not only knowing who you are, know whose you are, whose child you are. Stand your ground. Let nothing move you. Anyway, now, having read that, we're going to go to the insurance based on that. Now, Paul said, remember we are talking about principalities. This principality could hold a prayer for 21 days. When Daniel prayed, principalities hold his prayer for 21 days. The prayer was heard already, but it didn't reach Daniel until after 21 days, when God has to send another angel. So these things are important, but remember we are living in the New Testament. Thank God for that. So this is what I wanted to read. So this is Ephesians 1. We're going to start from verse 18. So Paul says, I pray that the eyes of your heart might be enlightened, in order that you may know the hope to which he has called you, the riches of his glorious inheritance in his holy people, and his incomparable great power for us who believe. That power is the same as a mighty strength he exerted when he raised Christ from the that power is the same as the mighty strength he exerted when he raised Christ from the dead and seated him at his right hand in the heavenly realm. Remember the previous verses we were talking about principality being in high places, right? Now Paul is trying to tell us that we shouldn't even be worried about principality wherever they are located, because we are far above all principalities and power. We are far above rule and authority, power and dominion, and every name that is invoked, not only in the present age, but also in the one to come. Because God has placed all things under his feet. You know who he's referring to? God is obviously referring to Jesus. Jesus is God in a human being, obviously. So you know that. So when we look at that, we realize that we are so powerful. We are so powerful. I don't know why it's so hard to take God by his word. For me, to be quite honest, I have a very wonderful walk with God. And I'm so happy because today in the morning I was talking to my husband. We usually pray together, but we have our own way of belief. Sometimes when we talk to each other, even though we are not like, kind of praying in that sense, we believe that we are praying because we are talking and God is present, because he's the one in control of our marriage. He's the rock in our marriage. And for us, it's like we are also praying. But we have specific times when we are praying, like we together. He prays some part of the prayers, I pray some part of the prayer. And I just really love it because our prayers draw us so much close to each other, But today we're talking about something else, and we're talking about trust in a marriage, how when there's no trust, it's just like a dark room and all that. And I think one of the things, as we are talking about God, which happen always, we always end up talking about God. One of the things that I like, that what my husband says, is that it's the way he, like, I think it's almost like saying that I encourage him to believe God, you know, very simple, because the way I pray, the way I talk to God, it's something that he admires and something that he has been really admiring, and so on, and he just laugh it, and it just like kind of very encouraging to him, and just to know that he's and I have to say the same thing. I have to say that I'm very blessed, and this is what I say every morning, like almost like, God, am I dating God in a human person? Because my husband is like extraordinary, like, I don't know. This man is just like a blessing. The way he handled conflict, not only with me, but even with other people, the way he loves me. And on my dating channel, I'm actually gonna, that's our topic. So we are going to talk about how it is important to actually go for the man who loves you more than the man you love. If it's both, you are blessed. You know, for me, it's both actually. So I fall for the man who loves me. Because sometimes you have to know that there's a battle. When I say a battle, like there's kind of like you have, like maybe three different people whom you have to choose from, and who you think which one is the best, and so on. And sometimes you need to choose the person that you can obviously love all three people, but sometimes you gonna realize that the person that actually loves you, God makes a way for him to be the one chosen. For me it was very easy, because I realized my discouragement from loving my husband was actually because they say opposite attract, and we are so the same. So I'm like, maybe he's not the right one. But oh my God, thank you, Jesus, for opening my eyes and just letting me fall head over heels in love with a person who adores the ground I'm walking on. My husband is one of those people who just like, he loves me, he adores me, what is it? What is this the right word? Because I'm gonna talk about it on my next on my other channel. He when a man not only loves you, like loves you as in like he loves you, he wants to be alive with you, but as I always say, that a man has to desire you. He desire you like your every physical. But also, when a man loves you more than you love him, it doesn't mean that I don't love him, but I know like he loves me more than I love him. Like it's just like an obvious kind of things. It's not something that is so difficult. And I'm gonna use two different couples as an example. And yes, as I said, today episode has been about knowing who you are, and knowing that you are above principalities, and being able to stand your ground. The devil is running around like a roaring lion, but he is no lion. Guess who's a lion? The Lion of the tribe of Judah. Jesus himself is the lion. The devil, the way you look at that verse, the devil is just pretending to be a lion, making you scared. But if you know who you are and whose you are not going to be scared, because you're above principalities. So as we are coming to the end of this, I just want to say thank you so much, guys, for your support, and for sharing our videos, and just for like commenting. I know people are busy, so don't forget to push that notification button, and subscribe, and like, and comment, and so that every time we load a new video, you will be notified. So bye.